7 of the most feared people in hip-hop. It's widely accepted that many of today's rappers may not have as much experience living the things that they talk about. Rap, like all music, is entertainment, and to some extent, rappers' personas are fabricated to make their music more interesting. However, there are a select few rappers in the industry who sit at the total opposite of this spectrum. Their persona fully aligns with their music, and there is concrete proof that they've lived through the hardships and in some cases misdeeds that they've claimed to. As a result, there are a handful of artists and businessmen within the industry that are not only respected, but feared by their peers. And not all of them are feared simply because they have a rap sheet. For some, it's the level of influence and willingness to use that influence that makes them an intimidating force. For others, it may be a public misconception about their brand or mission that makes them feared by the public. Whatever the reason may be, there are a select few in hip-hop that have reached an almost mythical level of intimidation. Before we reveal who they are, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, here are 7 of the most feared people in hip-hop. Number 7, Eminem. Despite the scowl that he's been wearing on his face for the last 25 years, Eminem is not a particularly imposing person, and it's hard to imagine him on the list of most feared people in hip-hop. However, despite some early assault and battery charges in his career, Eminem actually makes this list because of an immense level of influence within the rap industry. It's well known that Eminem began his career as a battle rapper, but his antagonistic personality makes him a great target for beef. Historically, those who have challenged him to a feud are unlikely to win, and their career often suffers because of it. Rappers like Ja Rule, Everlast, and Benzino are all people who have found their careers severely damaged by the fallout of a beef with Eminem. But rapper Machine Gun Kelly, who began beefing with M in 2018, is the first to speak out about how exactly this happens. According to Kelly, a tweet in 2012 in which he called Eminem's daughter Haley hot as F damaged his career significantly, and Eminem is behind it. According to MGK, the tweet made M so angry that he had MGK banned from ever appearing on his radio station Shade 45, or any of its affiliates, including SiriusXM. He goes on to state that there are plenty of publications that won't, quote, even listen or review my album because of that tweet. Number 6, Diddy. Today, Diddy is known more for his sprawling business empire than his music. His umbrella company, Sean Combs Enterprises, owns or possesses stakes in various companies like Sean John Clothing and Ciroc Vodka, leaving the rapper with a whopping net worth of $820 million. But the sad truth is that you don't usually achieve that level of success without cultivating a reputation as a ruthless businessman willing to step on others to get there. And unfortunately, Diddy seems to be no exception to this rule. After working his way up the ranks in Uptown Records, Diddy went on to create his own label, Bad Boy Records. While the label's most famous signee was the notorious B.I.G., it's also been home to a host of smaller acts, such as Mace and Machine Gun Kelly. However, a few artists have spoken out about Diddy, claiming he doesn't take care of his artists. Most recently, Mace called out Diddy, who had recently lashed out at the Grammys for disrespecting black music. On Instagram, Mace claims that Diddy recruited him for an unfairly low signing bonus, and has denied him publishing royalties for over 24 years. If you think that's mistreating the artist you sign, there's more. For over 2 decades, Diddy has been rumored to have been involved in the shooting of the notorious B.I.G., his own artist. Allegedly, Diddy was instrumental in the murder of rival label signee Tupac Shakur and his manager Suge Knight. When the shooter was only able to kill Shakur, Knight supposedly hired a gang member to murder Biggie a year later. This is a rumor that Eminem has spoken on, and later apologized for. Go figure. Number 5, DaBaby. When you take your first glance at DaBaby, it might be hard to imagine being afraid of him. He comes off as very polite and has a charismatic personality. However, despite this, Baby has shown time and time again that he is not someone to be messed with. As his fame rose exponentially after going viral with his hit Suge, DaBaby proved he was unpredictable and prone to violence. On multiple occasions, the rapper faced lawsuits for assault. Once after slapping a female fan, which he said he didn't realize was a female. Once after allowing a security team to beat up a male fan, and once after beating up a club owner himself. Despite this, the most intimidating incident involving DaBaby likely happened in November of 2018. While in a North Carolina Walmart with his daughter and girlfriend, DaBaby was approached by Jalen Craig, who allegedly pulled out a firearm and attempted to rob him. DaBaby was in possession of an illegally concealed weapon, which he fired, killing Craig. The case went to court, and the murder charge was ultimately dismissed when the jury found the rapper to have been acting in self-defense. Number 4, Birdman. Birdman is a bizarre and enigmatic figure. He once kissed Lil Wayne on the mouth, and he also participates in low-rate hip-hop reality shows. At the same time, he runs a label that shaped the early 2000s landscape of hip-hop, and gave us access to some of the industry's most successful rappers, such as Drake, Lil Wayne, and Nicki Minaj. But for many, Birdman is sort of a boogeyman, nefarious and demanding respect. Birdman spent his early life in the notorious crime-ridden New Orleans, selling drugs with his half-brother, drug kingpin Terrence Williams, who is currently serving life in prison. While Birdman has faced similar charges, he only served a year and a half in prison, and managed to start Cash Money, with his brother having given him the funding. During this time, Birdman established a relationship as a controlling and often violent force over his artists, forcing them to perform rain, sleet, or snow, providing exploitative contracts, and refusing to let acts leave the label. As Cash Money continued to grow, Birdman began to invest his money in less than reputable sources, including an oil company that brought him under suspicion of tax evasion and money laundering. But for years, Birdman operated in relative secrecy. To this date, his most public misconduct was in 2015, when he and Young Thug allegedly had someone shoot up Lil Wayne's tour bus as it was traveling on an Atlanta highway. Yes, Wayne was in fact in the bus at the time of the shooting, and it all supposedly happened because of his public dispute with Birdman over his record contract, and also his one-sided feud with Young Thug, who had been berating him for months. Despite an incident linking Birdman to the incident, Wayne and him have rekindled their relationship, and we never heard Birdman address the shooting. Number 3, Gucci Mane. If you ever want a better look into the psyche of Gucci Mane, you should read his self-titled autobiography. In the book, the rapper recounts everything from his rough upbringing in Atlanta, his time spent as a drug dealer, and even the infamous murder charge that he eventually beat. But one of the most interesting things the book reveals is that there is hard, documentable proof for every rumor about Gucci, except maybe for the rumor that he's a clone. Gucci spent the better portion of his early career in and out of jail for a variety of charges, ranging from drug possession and distribution to assault and battery. Even Gucci admitted that he found street life alluring, long after he had the financial means to leave it behind. And he quickly developed a reputation for being a calculating but volatile and often violent person. But perhaps the most infamous incident in Gucci's life took place in 2005. While at a friend's house, a group of armed men barged in and attempted to conduct a robbery. Gucci and his crew were armed and began to fire back at the intruders. One was hit and passed away on the scene. Not too long after, Gucci knew that he was in the right, and so he turned himself in to DeKalb County Police. Over the next few years, Gucci leaned into his reputation as a tough guy and murderer. He routinely calls out peers on social media for minor altercations, ruined his relationship with Waka Flocka Flame, and went to prison 3 times. This incident was only compounded upon when years later, at the height of his addiction to opioids, Gucci was arrested for acting erratically, and ultimately confronting Atlanta police while armed with a handgun. This began Gucci's final prison sentence, during which he found reform and decided to turn his life around. He came out of prison healthier than ever, looking to stay out of trouble for good. To this day, Gucci has not been back to prison since. Number 2, Suge Knight. If there was one universal boogeyman of rap, it would be Suge Knight. Knight's criminal record is extensive, and his involvement in some of the largest rap scandals ever is still in debate today. And of course, he's currently serving 28 years in a federal penitentiary. Suge Knight was the owner of Death Row Records, a record label that came into extreme success and mainstream attention after signing Tupac Shakur during Pac's incarceration in 1995. The signing freed Tupac from prison while his trial commenced. Tupac was with Knight on the night they assaulted Orlando Anderson, a Compton Crip, who is commonly thought to have led to the murder of Tupac later that same night. After Tupac's passing, Death Row began to struggle, and Knight turned to shady business practices, employing gang members and allegedly utilizing intimidation and even torture to solidify business deals. Suge himself has had a long history of legal trouble. Between 1995 and 2017, Knight has been incarcerated 8 times. At one point, he supposedly dangled Vanilla Ice over a Beverly Hills hotel balcony, forcing the Ice Ice Baby rapper to give Suge the rights to several of his albums. And while he never got in trouble for that, Suge is currently serving 28 years in prison for a hit and run. While you would think facing 28 years would calm you down, he was allegedly sending threats to the director of Straight Outta Compton for whatever reason. This played a part in his sentencing, and his release date is scheduled for 2046. Number 1. J. Prince. For casual rap fans, their only introduction to J. Prince might have been his role in squashing the beef between Drake and Pusha T. However, the mysterious figure has had a long-standing history as one of the most feared and respected people in hip-hop. CEO of Rap-A-Lot Records, Prince is responsible for launching the careers of various artists, including the legendary group UGK, and bringing Southern hip-hop to prominence in the late 80s. Since then, Prince has held a unique position as a mentor and advisor to various high-profile rappers, including Drake. As a result, Prince found himself intertwined in some of rap's most dangerous and famous situations, including a failed attempt to alert Bad Boy Records of a hit on the notorious B.I.G. According to rumors, Prince has long-standing connections to the streets all around America, and is not afraid to use them to protect his proteges, or attack his enemies. Legend goes that Prince's relationship with Gangsta Disciples legend Larry Hoover allows his artists safe passage through even the toughest Chicago neighborhoods. Prince is even credited with helping Drake receive proper payments after his highly publicized dispute with Birdman over Young Money royalty payments. Drake signed to Rap-A-Lot Records in 2008, before he signed to Cash Money. Today, the two still have a good relationship, and Drake has made songs like Mob Ties, alluding to his relationship with Rap-A-Lot. So, do the people on this list surprise you? Who do you think is the most feared? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And before you leave, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel.